Welcome to America! Out there, Los Angeles. In here, compact parking spaces into which someone has failed to squeeze one of those. But let's not worry about bad parking. Come and have a look at these. Look, it's the new Corvette Z06. And not just one, but two. A Z06 and a Z06 with a Z07 pack. And yes, I'm in America, I'm going with Z, not Z. Now at this point, I'm going to assume that your knowledge of all things Corvette is a little bit shaky. Think of it this way. The Corvette is America's Porsche 911. And just like Stuttgart's finest, it comes in an array of flavours. There's a 495 horsepower base car, and then for the ones wanting a little bit more track action, there's the Z06. That's your GT3. And the Z06 comes with a Z07 pack. That's your GT3 RS.
And here's something else this Corvette has in common with Porsche's toughest nut. It uses a high-revving, naturally aspirated engine that is rooted in racing and has nothing whatsoever in common with the small block V8 in the regular Corvette.
We're going to concentrate on this one first because it's a coupe, so you can see the engine that bit better. Now, when the 8th generation Corvette came out a couple of years ago, it was a big deal because for the first time since 1953, the iconic V8 wasn't in the front, it was in the middle. And now, for the Z06, they've given it a smaller engine, but made it faster. Much, much faster. The regular Corvette uses a 6.2 litre small block V8, but what you see here is an entirely new engine called the LT6. It's a 5.5 litre developing 670 horsepower, and that's more power than the mightiest 911. So in essence, the Z06 is a GT3 rival with Turbo S power. And yes, I know you think all American V8s are about lazy low-down torque, so here's some facts. This is a dry-sumped, flat plane crank V8 shared with the C8R GT racing car. It revs to 8,600 RPM, has titanium intake valves, develops over 120 horsepower per litre, and is the most powerful naturally aspirated production V8 in the world, ever. Would you like to hear it? Cool, quite red in here, isn't it? But let's not worry about the interior, let's just do the engine to start with. So, now, there's a bit of a process that I have to go through to rev it. I have to put it into gear, then I have to press manual, then I have to pull both paddles, then I can rev it. Oh! Listen how fast it revs. It's brilliant because it's sort of guttural and American V8 low down, but then pure Italian V8 anger at the top end. That's pretty special. Right, so while we're in here and the echoes are dying away, let's talk around the cabin because it's quite convincing actually. Yes, this is the Z06, so there's a lot more carbon in here, but the layout is interesting. It feels different. It also feels well made. The seats are pretty good. They're maybe a little bit firm and I'd like to sink into them a bit lower, but on the whole, they're good. I'm just really not sure about this sort of hexagonal steering wheel. But just because it's a Z06 doesn't mean it does without the regular Corvette's party tricks. And one of those means that although this is a coupe, it's got a lift-out roof panel. So let's go ahead and do that. So once you've got the latches undone inside, the two at the front and one at the back, you can then just go ahead and lift that panel out. And it fits into the rear boot, like so. But you're thinking, if I've put my roof in the boot, I've now got no luggage space. But you have. Come and have a look at this. And best of all, there's an external release. And another boot under here. But you're not really interested in practicality because this is the Z06. So let's look at the changes over the regular Corvette. And the main one is that it is 9 centimetres wider overall. And that's meant new front and rear body panels, much wider tyres. These rears are 345s, bigger brakes within them, stiffer suspension, and in the rear transaxle gearbox, a shorter final drive ratio for better sprinting. So if they've done this much for the Z06, what have they done for the Z07? This car has the Z07 pack fitted, the most obvious evidence of which is this wide carbon spoiler on the back deck, which more than doubles downforce from 165 kilos to 333 kilos, but at 186 miles an hour, which really you want your downforce at about 100, 120. So it's not really about the aero. Instead, you need to know the suspension is 15% stiffer. And if we come down here, you can see we've got different wheels and tyres. The Pilot Sport 4Ss have been replaced with Cup 2Rs, and the regular steel brakes are now carbon ceramic. The Z07 pack is likely to cost around $10,000, and on top of that, you can option these rather lovely carbon wheels, which alone save 18 kilos.
It's not a porky car. Yes, it's 150 kilos heavier than a GT3, but 1560 kilos in this day and age ain't bad, giving this a power to weight ratio of 429 bhp per tonne when a GT3 is 360. So it's fast, 0 to 60 in just 2.6 seconds, although us Europeans have to take that with a pinch of salt because it includes a 1-foot rollout, which means it's actually something like a 3 to 60 mile an hour sprint.
The Z06 is likely to start at around $90,000, and if you're watching this and wondering how on earth that's relevant to you, well, remember what Ford did with the Mustang? They brought it to Europe, and for a while it was our best-selling sports car, even ahead of the Audi TT. Well, Corvette wants a slice of that action too. And not just Europe, they're going to move the steering wheel to the other side and bring it to the UK. Now, the best guess is that it's going to cost at least as much in pounds sterling as it does in dollars, meaning this is probably a £100,000 car. But so what? A 911 GT3, if you can even get hold of one, is a £130,000 car. Most mid-engine stuff is $200,000.
But when? That's the question. This is a 2023 car, which means it doesn't even go on sale in the US until next summer. European sales? That's a question Corvette aren't answering just yet.
This car has real potential. Naturally aspirated supercars, not just this and the 911 GT3, but other such luminaries as the Ferrari 812 and the Lamborghini Huracan, are likely on their way out. And it's somehow fitting that America, a country that has always moved to a V8 rumble, is producing something so magnificent as the sun goes down. Rumours suggest that a Corvette E-Ray hybrid is coming, but it's this, the Z06, that promises the most and deserves to be the one we remember.